Yo, what is up, and welcome to another episode of Why They Rule. Today, I'm joined by Meelz of many things, like A Show, RT Podcast. There's so much stuff that Meelz does, and today I'm very excited to talk about one of my favorites and one of his favorites, The Miz. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great.
Yes.
Actually, I don't. Sidebar. I'm not actually doing that great. Currently, I have COVID.
What are you? When did you find
I'm sorry,
out?
I didn't even, like a week and a half ago. Hopefully, I should be on like the latter end of things.
Okay,
Yeah. I'm asymptomatic. I don't really have any of the real kind of problems that everyone else is having, fortunately. So I'm blessed for that. But yeah, I've been trapped. I forgot to tell you, I've been trapped in this room for like
trapped
the last
in the crib. It's the worst thing, because then you spending so much money on Uber Eats, food delivery, just
bruh, everything, bro. I spent. It was funny because it actually happened on the show this week. Like, I'm like, yo, I'm isolating. Can you just bring the food to my door? I don't come upstairs. Like, because I live in an apartment building. I don't come upstairs. And I was like, what? Yes, you do. This is your line of work. And it just went back and forth. But
do you have
I'm
an
doing
elevator?
okay. Yes.
Okay. If you got an elevator, then you need to come upstairs.
Yeah. No. If I didn't, I completely understand. But I was like, yeah, we got an elevator. Like, come on, man. Like, do the solid. Like, I'm paying people good tips and stuff like that, and all this other stuff. I'm a valued customer, as I would like to say.
What have you been Uber Eating the most, or getting delivered the most, you think?
I've been trying mad shit now. I've gotten from places like this ramen place I got was not really that good. It kind of tasted. I feel like ramen is definitely one of those things where you need to have fresh and
yeah, you can't have that delivered. It's not fire.
Yeah, it's not at all. There's this breakfast place I get from all the time called I'm giving them wild business, by the way. Called the Hangry Cook. And they're this like minority women owned business and stuff like that. And it's a little, you know what? It's a little bit on the pricier side, but I still do like them because they like me.
Okay.
And they appreciate me very much. So every time I come in, Jamil, how you doing? Da, da, da. And I'm just like, oh my God, yeah. So I try to support them any way that I can, but really that's kind of it. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a hassle, but you know,
I feel you.
It is what it is. You're making it work.
Yeah. I hope you feel better, man. And you know, hopefully talking about The Miz will make you feel a little bit better. Talk to the people about some of the stuff that you do, because it's astonishing. There's so much, like the podcast network, the podcast
pot,
you do, the shows.
The pot and the kettle. Come on, man.
All right, you know what I'm saying? You know. But still.
So I think a lot of the things I do is I'm creative manager. I do a lot of things for our group called RNC Radio, which is like this collective of like creative minds and podcasters and all this other stuff like that. And we work on a lot of different podcasts, playlists, et cetera, graphic design, all this other stuff like that. What I'm kind of mainly focused in recently, I mean, I do kind of 2 main podcasts currently. I used to have more, and then I had to like pretty much drop some to the side. But 2 main ones currently. One is, if you're an anime fan, it's The Lookout. I'm repping one of the Lookout shirts that we have here.
Fire.
Thank you. Design actually, besides these 2 things, designed by myself. So the concept by myself. I was trying to get on my, you know, I see you doing your thing. I'm trying to do my thing too. So the Lookout Anime Podcast Weekly, we're currently, you know, recapping Attack on Titan as it comes out. And then also the wrestling podcast, The A Show, which has been doing very well over the last year. I host with my pal Justin Davis.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, we're, you know, it's fun. I never thought I'd be doing it as long as I did it, as concurrently as I do it, because we have not, in our entire run, which is almost 4 years at this point, we have not actually missed a week at all.
And a lot of people might not understand how crazy that is, because, you know, they assume it's like, oh, well, we just, you know, talk 2 hours. That's crazy. As someone that has done the podcast, that's fucking nuts, man. Like that 4 years, that's about 208 episodes, something like that.
Bro, we have so much, like, God, I mean, I guess it's over 4 years now. I think about it. Shit, we have like 200 something up. You have like 221. episodes as of maybe this week, maybe 222. But nonetheless, it's still kind of crazy to go through this on a week by week basis. And to be honest with you, it's really, besides in timeline, which I talk about wrestling a lot, and I really just joke to myself. Sorry for anyone who takes offense to it, but it's really just to make me laugh and the people that I like laugh.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
But this is really the only kind of like, it's the really kind of expression at this point. It's really the only kind of expression I can kind of handle for on a weekly basis. I get everything out about wrestling and all my feelings about it, and then I'm cool for pretty much the rest of the week, unless I want to joke on wrestlers or joke on stuff that people are doing and stuff like that, like on my timeline. But yeah, it's been a fun experience, man.
What were some of the other stuff that you had? Because I remember at one point I felt like every day there was something new that you were making.
So I love this is going to come into play because of favorite things. I love the challenge, so I did a challenge podcast. I've been watching the challenge for pretty much over 20 years at this point. The challenge, real world, all this other stuff, it's going to make sense. Trust me, we're going to revisit this because it's going to make sense afterwards. So I used to do this, but then this recent season of the challenge sucked, so we were just like, all right, let's just cut it, because I'm not going to do 20 weeks of something I'm not really invested in. But I have so many other things going on. Used to do another podcast called Two Belts Podcast with my friend Carlos. Shout out to him. He's also a wrestling fan. The Two Belts thing came from, at that time, our love of 2 Chainz and also our love of wrestling. We tried to angle it in a little bit of wrestling, but as I would learn, people who want opinions on music don't care about your wrestling takes.
They do not. It's very
at all.
It's very hard. It's very difficult to like mix.
This is a very niche thing, man.
Yeah, they don't. People don't understand how much of a niche it is because it's $1 billion industry, but it's very niche. Like,
yeah.
If it ain't Stone Cold or The Rock, people are not like.
The Venn diagram doesn't loop around a lot, to be honest with you. It keeps it very, very separate. And then, yeah, man, I used to do a lot of freelancing stuff. At one point I learned DJ just to learn to DJ because I love music so much. And just, I don't know, I think that's kind of it thus far. And hoping, take me into kind of new things, man.
Oh yeah. So get into wrestling. When was the first time that you got into wrestling?
I don't even remember. I remember memories of things. I don't remember like me fully jumping in, but I do remember that when I was in 3rd grade, which was about like 1997 or so, everyone was talking about it on the playground, and everyone was doing their wrestling moves and all this other stuff like that. Everyone's doing suckets and blah, 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 and all this other stuff like that. So I do remember that. I remember one of my first memories of like watching, like me specifically remembering this, was watching Ken Shamrock versus Steve Blackman. I specifically remember that for whatever reason. That's like my earliest one that I'm like, okay, I'm tapped in for the rest of the ride here.
Was that like the little UFC match where they had like the fake little cage around it?
It might have been. It might have been one of the other things. Lion's Cage.
Yeah, the Lion's Den. Yeah.
There you go. Might have been one of those. I also remember various things throughout wrestling history. I remember the ad promos for NWO coming on TV. I remember the Nation of Domination very briefly. I remember Mike Tyson, of course. I remember various things. Like I remember Disco Inferno. I remember but I don't have like a collective like, this was the moment that like turned me over completely.
Okay. Yeah. You got into it during like the Attitude Era, during like the peak, the moment.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Were you more of
the Attitude Era?
Were you more of a WCW kid or a WWF kid?
WWE all the time.
Okay.
Man, what's so crazy is that I have to, so did another one on our Patreon, patreon.com/TheAShowRNC. So I was doing a series called The Invasion Diaries.
Yeah.
Which I feel like it's low-key like an Emmy award-winning thing that I need to put up on public, but I think I'm just gonna keep it for
I think you should, because like that was something that I wanted to do when I saw that you were doing. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be good, because it's such a good time that people don't really know enough about.
The episodes are so fun because half of it is pop culture from the year 2001, and half of it's actually the invasion thing. And like I go into all the Wrestling Observer newsletters and all this other stuff like that, so it's pretty fun. So I've WCW, all my knowledge come from my co-host Justin, who was living in Virginia at the time. So he recognized a lot of WCW stuff as well. I can't remember for the life of me. Really, the only thing that stick out to me are NWO and Disco Inferno.
Two
I
drastically different
promise you.
things. A
I
high
promise you.
and a low, right there.
I remember I remember the night after Starrcade with Sting versus Hogan. I remember that. I remember watching that because everyone was kind of talking about it. But I don't remember a lot from WCW, but I swore at some point I was watching. I had neighbors who would tape all their pay-per-views. Damn. I mean, well, statute of limitations gone. But
bro, we had the red cable box until like 04. So we didn't pay for a pay-per-view until
they had it. So they taped so many pay-per-views for us, and they'd be like, yo, watch these WCW pay-per-views. And I was like, that's when I learned about, okay, now it's coming back to me. That's when I learned about the Juice.
Sir.
And that's when I learned about like Psychosis and stuff like that, and all the other cruiserweight stuff that was going on. But before that, yeah, I really had no, I don't know. Like, I feel like one time, I feel like I was watching WCW, and then I watched something on WWF at the time, and just never changed back the channel.
It was one or the other. Like my cousin was in Atlanta, and so he watched WCW. My brother watched WWF, and so they taped like every episode. And so like that's how I got into it when because I was born in 98 and I got into wrestling in like 01. So I just had
Jesus Christ, man.
I had like from 95 to 2001 just taped. So I would just watch it.
Oh my God.
But also this is very important. When did you get into, I guess, MTV and you know, you might have to help me because is it like the challenge is like the Real World and the challenge all in the same universe?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So boom. All right. Let's go into MTV talk.
Yes.
MTV, I only got into when I got cable. Okay. So I didn't have cable when I first was living, and then we got cabled when I guess we decided we no longer wanted to watch public access television.
Do you remember the cable provider? You remember the first cable provider you had?
Of course, Cablevision.
Oh,
what?
Shake my hand. That's a New York delicacy right there. Cablevision, baby, with the purple. Oh yes.
Yeah. So we had Cablevision. It was this black box. Initially, it was this black box. I don't remember what all the channels were, but I just remember when I got cable, I was so excited because there was a channel that had cartoons all the time called Cartoon Network, and the
32,
first
I think.
I've ever. Yes, and the first thing I ever saw, actually, it might have been 64 at the time for me. The first thing I saw was Space Ghost Coast to Coast, but or just Space Ghost in general. But going to MTV, that's when I started getting a lot more about music and seeing all these music videos. Yeah, TRL, the MTV was popping. It was where it's at. They had so many different shows and so many ridiculous things going on. And I came upon the Real World. Now, the Real World and the Challenge are in the same universe because it used to be called the Real World Road Rules Challenge. So it used to be called that. It used to take people from the Real World, which is a reality show at the time. I'm not sure how if people remember this. Real World, its sister show, Road Rules. Real World was more in the house, everyone having fights in the crib. Road Rules was like they go on adventures across the country, bungee jumping into volcanoes and doing all this other cool shit. So they would at times take them and put them together. So it was the Real World Road Rules Challenge, and it would be Real World versus Road Rules, or guys versus girls, or badasses versus good guys, et cetera, et cetera. Reality television. So this all happened on MTV, and I was a fan. The first Real World, this is how it's going to come together. The first Real World I ever saw was the Real World Back to New York, which featured The Miz. And what's crazy is even back then, I wasn't such a Mike the Miz fan because he would get sliced up by Coral every week for being like the most like airheaded, ignorant, all this other stuff like that. Like if you go back, like for everyone who stands Mrs. Dad, you go back to that season, it ages terribly because there's definitely a scene in a cafe where it's The Miz, and he's speaking with Coral and Malik, two African American people at the time. And he's speaking to Coral and Malik, and they're talking about race relations in a bit. And she was like, "Yeah, my dad owns this company, or he's at the head of this company, and he won't hire people because of pretty much essentially like the way they're dressed and the way they carry and they're lazy and all this other stuff like that. He was talking about black people. And Coral sliced him up. He was like, you will not sit here and talk about two black people like that ever in your life and be as ignorant as this. And there was a lot of odds. I rewatched it recently, which is why I remember all this stuff, because someone uploaded all the episodes on YouTube, and I've just been hyped ever since. So that happened, and that was and from there, I mean, I became familiar with that. I watched the challenges. Everyone kind of grew up from their original show. People became more likable or unlikable, and shit, man, I love the challenge ever since. I still watch it to this day.
I got a sidebar real quick. So I've wondered this because I grew up on Comedy Central and stuff like that, and the first thing I ever really saw of Real World was the Chappelle Show sketch Mad Real World, and over time, I've always thought that the dude that played him looks like he's based off of the Miz's character in the show. And what you're talking about with the race relations and the cafe, do you think that is based off of that season of Back to New York? Because Back to New York was 01. That episode was like 02, 03?
Yeah. So it definitely could be, because it definitely wasn't based off of. Well, there's a lot of race things regarding the Real World. I think that was always a big topic throughout the entire seasons and stuff like that. It could have been because that's the closest one, and then the following one is like, I think the following one is Chicago, which isn't very heavily race related, and then they had Vegas, which was the big like, oh, reality shows about sex now, because they had sex on that show a million times. So I'm pretty sure it was that time. So yeah, definitely. I mean, considering the two, I remember the girls they had there in that Mad Real World sketch, and I'm like, yeah, kind of could be Coral, could be I forgot the other girl's name, Nicole. There we go as well, and a couple other people like that. But that's hilarious. It probably was.
The Miz might have inspired one of the best Chappelle Show sketches we got. So that's pretty that's pretty awesome.
Dead ass.
Patty has some big ass titties.
So were you watching WWE in like 04 when the Tough Enough series happened, and were you like, yo, that's Mike the Miz?
Oh yeah. I've been watching ridiculously. Like, to be honest with you, I'm kind of ashamed that I haven't actually taken a break period from watching, because there was a lot of terrible stuff that happened throughout that I just like mind-numbingly sat through. My least favorite era of WWE is probably everything from like 09 to like maybe like 12, 13, because I'm like, yo, what the fuck happened?
You know, I was thinking of that on the last episode we had Ksenia, and she picked Dolph Ziggler versus Punk at the Royal Rumble 2012, and I was like, oh man, 2012. I was like, damn, this
2012
kind of fire. Yeah. I was like, damn, this Punk match is kind of fire here.
Bro, I cannot tell you the career arcs of anyone.
I can't. Yeah, no, I don't remember nothing
except maybe like John Cena.
Yeah.
Like, other than that. But I was watching during that time, so I recognized him from Tough Enough, and he was still doing the challenges at that. I think he had just retired from doing the challenges at that point.
Okay.
But he was still doing this, so he was a reality star. He got on it. I understood, but they wasn't doing the reality show format anymore, which was kind of weird because it seemed like that would be his angle. But yeah, I was definitely watching during that 2004 Tough Enough for sure.
What was it? Were you automatically rooting for him? Like
yes,
that's my.
Because I knew him.
Okay.
Because I knew him. Go ahead.
That one had like Daniel Puder, all right? Or is that the next?
No. That one had Daniel Puder. It had Ryback.
Yeah.
I believe. It had I don't remember anyone else, to be honest with you. Like 2004 Tough Enough is such a you gotta look that up. 2004 Tough
it had
Enough
Mitch from the Spirit Squad, Daniel
really?
Puder,
Wow.
yeah. And then Dan Puder won it, yes, yeah. And then that's when he like tried to double leg take down Kurt Angle and won.
Yeah. I remember all of that. I remember I don't even think I thought Miz was going to win. Like I just thought no one liked him, to be honest with you. Like, from reality, I liked him because I'd seen his career growth at that point. And there was definitely a time, like, I was following him like I followed a lot of other, and I don't even know because it wasn't like heavy social media back then, but I would like follow, see what he's doing, see how he's progressing in his wrestling, because I would see him on TV every 6 months or every week or something along those lines. So I remember seeing stuff that he was doing at UPW, and other people were UPW at the time. or I went to UPW in the past, back when I was trying to like enlighten myself on wrestling and become the smartest wrestling fan of all time. When I was like, I'm watching ROH now and indies and stuff like that, and like, yo, you got to watch their OVW stuff. Like, that's when they really got it popping. I swear I said that about Beth Phoenix like for the whole time. I was like, you need to watch this ladder match he had with Katie Burchill.
Yeah.
Like, that shit is
and in 240p quality, it wasn't really that good, but you were like, nah, man, you gotta know this, man. You gotta see this stuff.
Yeah. that was the time. That was like during that period, it was just like, yo, you need to be watching this. But yeah, I mean, I was rooting for him. I didn't think he was gonna win because Daniel Peters seems a lot more like, I guess, rad. I don't know. At the time, he knew UFC. It was like mixed martial arts.
Yeah, that's the guy's
shit. He's tough and badass, man.
So like, I mean, Miz still was doing reality stuff after, like, it's been going viral, the clip from Fear Factor where like he's on the show and someone wants to fight Joe Rogan and Joe Rogan's about to piece dude up and Miz just gets in the way and prevents it. Like, Miz was doing a lot of stuff before he got signed. Were you familiar with any of that stuff too?
I remember he did Battle of the Reality shows. He might have done a boxing thing. I'm not actually sure. A lot of reality shows along that time, because when you were, it's not like being in a reality show now. When you were on reality TV, you were basically like damn near a celebrity. So he would go out and he would be recognized by people, and he would go out and do all these things and make all this money, and all of them were living in LA because they thought they were going to be actors or all this other stuff like that. So he was doing a lot of different stuff. I remember that. But I knew at some point, especially when he was winding down during the challenges and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, if you can look at the Miz's challenge career, he's regarded as one of the top guys. But realistically, he may be like top 25. There are definitely a lot of people that he competed better than he did. But he's won twice, so I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I was following him from time to time. I was following him pretty much everywhere and just kind of see where this journey was going to end up. And I was surprised when he showed up on Tough Enough for WWE. I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
So Tough Enough was 04, and the Miz finally shows up again on WWE around like 06, 07. So, and the whole time he's still doing these challenges, still doing reality TV, but he's still like training in OVW and like Deep South and stuff like that. Like, and he was a celebrity. Like he was on reality TV, which is pretty tight, and it shows kind of like how dedicated he's always been to this. Do you remember like his debut vignettes and promos and stuff like that around like 06 and 07, and like your reaction to those at all?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, hey, what's up, guy? He was doing a lot. He was trying to get Hoorah over as well, which I guess was like a bit.
And let me tell you something. He sure did. For me, he sure did. 8-year-old Khris was hoorahing up the joint, man.
And he had that B Miz shirt where it was just like his eyes and stuff like that. He was trying to get that over for a long time because he would wear that on the challenge. And which was crazy too, is like all his friends would also wear it on the challenge and stuff like that. He had mad of those shirts.
Wait, that's a carried over logo?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's so crazy to me
so
because
fire.
I know WWE used it because he had that since like maybe like 03. Like he would wear them on the challenge.
That's so sick.
Like,
I had no idea. Yeah, he used it on his gear. It's in the games, on the action figures. That's so tight. Wow, that's awesome. I'm interested to see like the splits and the breakdowns and all how that worked. But he would wear it all the time. And shit, what was the original question you asked me? I was just like your reaction to him showing up in like 06, 07, like the first.
Oh, I mean, he was the host and thing like that. Yeah. I was happy for him. I was still like I'm watching everything under the sun. Have you checked out this guy named AJ Styles? Have you checked out this guy named Daniel Bryan Face? But I was overall happy for him.
Yeah.
But you know, I wasn't the fan that I am now then.
Okay.
But I was definitely happy for him because I'd known him for such a long time and I'd seen his growth and his career and his maturity as an overall person.
And so when do you think you became that fan of him?
When he won the WWE Championship.
Okay.
And I was like, wow.
Okay.
Like he really did it. Because otherwise, like in any other stretch of the imagination, there's an arc in his career where he does not make it at all.
Absolutely. Insane. Like crazy. Because Miz
Like,
was a host from '06 to '07, and like he was not great. Like it wasn't.
nah,
It
he
was
wasn't endearing. Like it was like very in your, and it wasn't like he knows what he's doing. He's a cool heel. He's a heel and he understands it. He was just very in your face about
yeah,
it. And
and
like, ugh.
and most people
Carson Daly here,
would have
like one
gotten
of those.
most people would have gotten cut if that was them. Like most people would not have persevered. Like he went through a lot. Like
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's super tight. So before 2000, he wins the title in 2010, or right?
Yeah, 2010. Yeah.
Okay. So through that he goes to ECW, does stuff there, teams with John Morrison, they win the tag title. I think at that
Well,
point,
that's before that. That's before that. That's before.
yeah. I think at that point I was a fan of him, like the chick magnet
Mhm.
stuff, just because he was annoying, and John Morrison was doing like
That
Palace
shirt
of
was
Wisdom.
terrible.
It was terrible, and honestly, his entire fit at the time was
It's bad.
it's bad. The hat, the shorts, like the everything was not good.
I was like, why did these shorts go down to like your damn near ankles, bro? Like they were ridiculous.
I mean, it was '07 though, like
yes, I mean, yes,
but-
absolutely.
but they were
Like,
bedazzled.
I get it for us, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
for
I was
him?
like, bro, that's ridiculous, man. Like you had those designed, you
Yeah.
know? And you told them down here,
And you made them get bedazzled down there, man.
and I think he wrestled them like chucks or like chuck off, like some along those lines. Like
maybe. God. Yeah, that's nuts. The journey of the Miz is crazy. He had the faux hawk. I mean, the awful guitar music. That music was awful, man. Like, just sounded like bad butt rock. But then, we get to 2018, or we get to 2010, and things just start shifting. I don't know what it is about him, but he wins the U.S. title, and then he gets that new music, which I remember when that music came out, it was like, yo, this guy's might start
people
popping.
started hating him for real. People
Yeah.
started hating him for real at that time. Like I think it became less because he was less in your face about it and more like I'm proving you wrong type of thing. So it became like an actual like heel with motivations and characters and stuff like that. Before I think it was just like he's annoying because he's a heel because he's annoying. He's in your face. He's all the time. He's supposed to be dating chicks that you never dated before. And it's like, really? The Miz? All right, well, it is what it is. But after that, it came a effort to like prove people wrong and stuff like that. And that's when I really got into it because I'd seen where he'd gotten. I know where he started.
Yeah.
So to see where he was at, I was just like immensely proud.
Yeah.
And I looked at it myself. I was like, yo, shit, if he could do it, like I could do it. Like realistically, yeah.
And like that, if I'm remembering correctly, like back when it was a real world, he was doing all the Miz characters, and people were kind of like, "What the fuck is up with you? Like you're bugging right now. Like why are you doing this?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like even just from then, he had like this kind of almost delusional amount of self confidence that he could do whatever he wanted, and then he still did it, which is just one of the big reasons why so many Miz fans, or Misfits, we should say, rock with the Miz.
It carried over, especially during the Intercontinental title reigns and all this stuff like that. And I think him being so being able to really you could put him with anybody and it would work to an extent, or there'd be some attention. And there's obviously what I like as well is the amount of effort that I equate it to. Actually, it's ironic. I equate it to the actual Edge thing too, because I see him as it's like the Edges, the Chris Jerichos, all these other stuff like that, taking the extra step to make sure that even the shittiest thing that you're doing is going to work somehow for you and the person that's involved. So I always appreciated that because I felt like he would take those extra steps, whether it be the vignettes or whether it be the video packages or whether it be donning when he came out as The Rock and donning that bald mask, and I was like, yo, is that oh shit, that's the Miz. He looks ugly as fuck. And taking the extra step to make sure like, yo, like we're getting all this over. And I see it all the time that not only does he do it with himself, because it's not a completely selfish thing, he likes to do it with his opponent as well.
And like tag team partners, anybody he's really with, like,
yeah,
he's a really giving person and like such an important part to wrestling. Do you remember your reaction to when he won that title off Orton on that episode of Raw?
I remember being so proud and so happy. One, because it's a Money in the Bank cash in, I'll go for it anytime. But two, I just remember being so proud and so happy because I went to MTV.com and they were like praising him there. Everywhere they were like, yo, the real world star actually became WWE champion. And I was so involved in the real world and the challenge. seeing someone from that show make it is just like insane, because no one from that show should make it anywhere in life. Like there's him, Jamie Chung, obviously, Karamo, who hosts what's that show on Bravo? I forgot. But there are very seldom people from that reality show market that are able to cross over and make it in their respective fields, and he's one of them. So I give all the props to him. I was super excited when that happened.
Personal story. I remember that happened. I remember like it was yesterday. I was eating Chinese spot chicken and broccoli with fried rice, and I
Good for
had
you,
like
man.
that shit was busting. I remember it. You know, like the little fold out mini tables that you would eat food on, like a little.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Mrs. cashing in. I was like, he's gonna be. I remember commentary was like, no one ever loses money he's been cashing. Oh man, my guy's gonna lose, man. Come on, man. Damn. I remember Randy went for the RKO. It's like, oh, there it goes. Boys hooked the arm. I
Yes.
kicked my feet out and kicked the table of food underneath me.
Oh nah.
I was like, I didn't even care. Hooked the arm, did the skull cushion finale. I was jumping for joy. That was like, I couldn't believe it. Like that was the guy, and I was like, man, he really did it. Like I don't have that connection. I just had the connection of him being an annoying piece of shit and just liking that part. But
I
like,
feel like he thought he was gonna lose too. To be real with you, I feel like he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna hold this, but like, I'm not gonna win it." It's a Randy Orton.
Yeah, as a fan of hip hop, I gotta ask you because I don't get to talk about. How did you feel about? I think was it WrestleMania 27, the "Hate Me Now" Miz vignette, which I think is one
Ooh,
of the
come
greatest
on.
vignettes of all time. Top 10, for sure, maybe even top
Tough,
5.
bro.
Like,
Tough, bro. Like to be able to bring that, WWE doesn't do a lot of, at least back then,
yeah,
definitely, absolutely fucking
yeah,
did a lot of hip hop stuff. So to bring that in, the way they edited it, the way they, his entire career, the build up to that point. When I heard that, I mean, it's still iconic to this day. It's
yes,
really one of the best ever, because it personifies kind of like everything that he's about, but they don't do it in a kind of corny way.
yeah,
It really seems like him against the world type of thing. And man, when I heard anything hip hop like contemporary that I know, that like people know, I'm just like, yo, this is crazy that
right.
this is actually happening. Like, because I'll be honest, I don't know where WWE continued. Like, they're a curator of the vibes. They know. I don't know who was the music director over the last like decade and where they would find these bands. Because I was like, yo, like I've never heard of this band in my life, but I mean, he's the theme for No Mercy 2016 or something like
Yeah,
that. So he's got to be doing something right. But I'm like, yo, like people legitimately have like never heard. That's why like when I hear this stuff now, like Cardi B Up, like Cardi B Up, I forever associate with SummerSlam now.
Mhm.
Like, because the song isn't really popular. It's not really that great. I mean, not to say it's not great, but it's not like truly reputable as a Cardi B like classic on its own.
Yeah.
So I'll always have that for SummerSlam.
And
Like,
they played the shit out of that song.
oh, bruh. I was like, what? SummerSlam? I'm Bianca and Sasha in my head the entire time.
Yeah, man, that was sick. I remember my brother was sitting there with me, and he
Mhm.
had fallen off of wrestling, but like he's a big hip hop fan because he's like maybe 12 years older than me, so his ears
Mhm.
perked up. Like Nas, and I was like, man, this is the most fire. Even now, when I hear that song, like it's on my gym playlist, my
Yeah.
brain
Me too.
puts in the Miz's quotes. Like
Mhm.
it's such a that's one of my favorite promos of all time.
Oh my god, it's so sick.
And ever since then, 2010, Miz has been on a roll, capturing damn near every championship that you could capture.
It
Just
really fuels me as a Miz fan every time he wins a championship, because it's like most people don't think he's gonna win.
yeah,
Most people don't think like he's going to retain against Roman Reigns for Intercontinental Championship. He still gets a lot of hate
yeah,
because people don't believe that he deserves to be where he's at.
which
And
is
I
crazy,
disagree.
which is insane. Like just off of a standpoint of being a brand, there isn't anyone besides damn near John Cena that is
Yeah,
like, could carry and just be so presentable. Like the fact that
yeah.
he's not on more things is kind of disheartening to me, but like he should be everywhere because he's such a fucking good host. He's such a good ambassador.
He has the gift of gab. Like he's a talker. Like, so I one of the dreams I had was always, especially when I was doing a lot of his stuff, I've always wanted to interview people. I've always wanted to talk to people. I've always wanted to do shows and stuff like that. Even so, this is like way back from 2010, 2011 stuff. I've always wanted to do. I still want to do it. I have a show where I just interview people.
Right.
I had an idea in my brain. It was going to be called the Extraordinary Show because it's supposed to be extraordinary, but extraordinary. But people, because everyone is like everyone's ordinary, but then it's like extraordinary. It was wild. Don't quote me, but I've always wanted to interview people. So, like last year, I got to interview him for the first time. I say his first time because I anticipate I will hopefully do it again. He talks so much. It was crazy. Like that was one of the first interviews that we were kind of approved. And I was like, all right, you have 25 minutes. And I was like, okay, cool. He talked for 40 minutes. Like the PR person was like, yo, we gotta go, can you hurry this up? And I'm like, it's not me, it's him, but it's kind of me because I'm geeked to talk about him and I want to ask him all these various things. But they were like, yo, we gotta go, like he's got to get to his next interview. But it turned out he ended up loving it. Like,
oh yeah,
it's one of the best moments of my life, to be honest with you.
Yeah, talk more about that because I was gonna get into it. What does it feel like to just like? Because I remember when I saw that for you, I was geeked because I was like, I know how much you love the Miz, and like that was like, people don't understand. They think it's really easy to get a number one, anyone in mainstream wrestling interview, but number two, a WWE interview is much harder because they're like, you have to be number one, you have to be an approved wrestler to do these interviews. Miz can do them more often because he's been doing it for so long. But number two,
he has so many different things that because he has Miz and Misses, because he's on WWE television, because he does all this Cricket Wireless stuff, that he's so available to do interviews anytime and all the time because he knows at the end of the day it's also promotion for him,
right?
Just as a brand, as a person.
And then number two, you have to be acceptable brand or platform. Like you don't see, for good reason, sometimes you'll see wrestlers of independent wrestlers or other promotions on any Taz podcast talking about whatever, and they let a lot of shit fly that they shouldn't. It's a lot of work, and it shows a lot of like trust and ability and your platform to get that interview. So can you talk more about that?
So when I remember I tweeted on my birthday last year, I was like, yo, I want to interview the Miz. Like I want to make sure this thing happens. This isn't like, yo, I knew it was going to happen and I tweeted it for shits and giggles. This was, I wanted it to happen. We reached out to them initially and they were like, no.
So it's a rough feeling, but it happens all the time.
Yeah, it happens all the time. They're like, no. But they wanted to like, they wanted to know like all of our stats and all this stuff like that and all this other things. And I was like, you sure you want like this? I feel like I was like, this kind of, you be asking all the other podcasts for all their little, analytics and stuff like that. Feel kind of, but then I have to give a shout out to my girl Victoria, who hosts the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast. Victoria's amazing.
To Victoria.
She like does this. She's got a master's degree. She hosts this podcast. She gets guests every week. To be able to have a podcast where you have a guest every single week is tough. Like that's tough.
Boy, you a guest today and we almost fucked it up. Like people don't understand how hard this shit is.
Like to book your time and around other people's time is tough. So in that period, she'd gotten a big milestone for her, which I was super happy for her, was Sasha Banks, because Sasha Banks really doesn't do any interviews. And when she does them, she doesn't do them she does them as her character. Yeah. But she, it is what it is, but she did it in her fandom of Sailor Moon and all this stuff like that. And I was just so proud of her. And she was like, yo, so this is kind of like giving back, which I like to do, with people that I'm cool with and stuff like that. And it's because of her that I do this for other people as well. Right. I mean, I would do it anyway, but it's because of her. I always keep this in my mind. She was like, let me help you get this interview that you think, because I reach out for them. I got approved for this interview. Let me see what I can do for you. So she reached out to them and say, hey, we're a wrestling podcast. We do this, that, and the third. Would you like to talk to them? And they were like, yeah, sure. Reach out to a completely different person than the person we reached out the first time, because that person said no. Yeah. And that person is no longer with the WWE right now, for thank God. For reasons that actually probably a lot of more people know. But we reached out to them and we had this back and forth, but when we confirmed it, I'll tell you, I was running at the time. I was running outside. When we confirmed it, I stopped and really like I had to sit down. I was running on Eastern Parkway. So there's benches everywhere.
Yeah.
I stopped and was just like, yo, I can't believe this. Like, I can't believe that we actually did this. Like, this never happens.
Yeah.
You know? And we were completely fine with like continuing our thing because we knew that people listen to us and stuff like that, and they come for our opinions and stuff like that. We were completely fine with going, understanding we'll probably never get an interview, maybe we'll get one, he'll be black, etc., all this other stuff like that. And we were fine, this is going to happen. So when it finally happened, I kind of just like, I had to process it all. I was like, yo, this is, and even still to the moment it happened, I didn't think it was going to happen. To 30 minutes before it happened, I was like, something's going to happen.
Yeah, you know, like
cancel
got to not show up, something like that.
Yeah, he's been doing other interviews, but we got online, we did it. I talked to him. I was able to express, I flubbed up the first question because he did this show, I think it was on USA Network or something, that I confused with Wipeout on TBS that John Cena does. But he corrected me. He's like, no, that's Wipeout by John Cena. And I was like, oh shit. But then we got into the interview, we got into the questions and stuff like that. It was great asking him these things because I know he wants to be Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat. So we were asking about things like that.
Which he better be. That just, please, for the love of God.
I agree. It's just perfect casting.
Yeah.
So we were asking about so many stuff like that. And to this day, something that no one has ever done ever since then, we ended the interview. It was like, it went like 10 minutes over time because he's a talker. Like and he tries to like, and I can see it from the way he does things. He understands that people who may not know him may listen to this. So he acts like everyone has never heard this thing before, because I was like, yeah, nigga, I knew I was there. I told you I'm the biggest fan. But he does that now. So it went a little bit longer. And to this day, at the end, he does this. He says, at the end, you're the Miz and you're listening to the A Show, and the A Show is awesome. He does a drop. Did not ask him to do that.
Oh my God, man.
I was like, oh.
Always remember, the A Show is awesome.
Yo, the high I was on
Yes.
after you do a great interview, the high you're on after that interview is just, it's different.
Yeah.
It's just different. A great episode of a podcast, a great interview,
Smooth,
just anything.
Yeah.
It's different. I was on 10. I was at work when I did that interview. I went back to work. I didn't do shit.
Fire me. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. I was like, oh, fuck, I just got the Miz. Now, the bad part about this interview. So we recorded it all on Zoom and stuff like that. I'm clearing out my thing because my computer was like, yo, you don't got much space left. I'm starting to delete and shit. I'm like, yo, let me delete this. Let me delete that. Let me delete that. Completely delete the video part of the interview. It's completely gone. I was like, no. I was searching for it. I fucking bought $80 software that doesn't work to recover this shit. It should never works.
Never.
It never works when it's trying to save my life. It never fucking works. But it wants to recover all this. I tried to find it, couldn't find it. Luckily, I still had the audio. If I didn't have the audio, I would cry. So we had to make that video, and I took a snapshot at the time because I was like, yo, I'm gonna take a snapshot for the homies. If you gotta see that, I actually did this. So I took a snapshot. That was the only photo we were able to use for this thing. We still had the drop on it. So I was like, oh, we were lucky to get the interview out. And then so we put out the preview. It's like, oh, this is coming tomorrow. And everyone's like, oh my God, congratulations. He retweets it and says the A Show is awesome or something along those lines. I almost fell out of my fucking chair. Like, I was like, yo, this is so cool, because like all these things he doesn't have to do.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do it at all. And to be honest with you, most WWE superstars and most people that we've interviewed in general haven't done it.
Yeah.
Since then. And they're not obligated to. I'm not saying like, yo, you have to share this on your social media, all this other stuff like that. It is what it is. I'm just happy for your time and able to ask you all these questions. I'm grateful just in general. But he did this and went out his way for it, and I was just like, wow, this was really awesome. Like, he's really like a stand-up fucking guy.
Yeah, man. For sure. That's awesome, man. That's such a good story, man. That's so good. So, I mean, what about The Miz makes him, your favorite? Would you say he's your favorite of all time?
My favorite of all time? Surprisingly, no. I have two above him. I'm a big The Rock guy. Rock
Yeah.
when I came up as a kid, just entertaining to me, my family, everybody. Like he was really a bringer of all lives
For sure.
because he was just funny and
Yeah.
entertaining in general. And it was I'm realizing now, like older, it's like, damn, he said a lot of stupid shit, but it's entertaining in the way he says it. When you're able to do that and get it all across, it's very entertaining. And then right above, right along with him as well is Edge. Edge is someone who I saw since the beginning, and I saw to what was believed his end or his demise, and then his return back. So he's always a special place in my heart. The Miz is probably my favorite right now.
Okay.
Like I can always depend on him um to win when I feel like when everyone says he's gonna lose, he just wins and stuff like that, and just like to prove people wrong. Like he's one of he's my favorite of the current stars right now. I'd say like Edge and The Rock are kind of like elder statement, veteran, alumni, kind of coming back and doing the thing. But like as far as someone who's actively in it, he's the best.
And it's really cool because Miz got to be in programs with both of those people.
Yeah.
Were you
It's
there
insane.
at Survivor Series 2011?
No. I you know what? I actually don't even know if I wish I was there because to be honest with you, Survivor Series is such a hit or miss pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I always feel like because I went to the one this year,
Mhm.
I would call it a miss. Overall.
I think I went to that. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But...
Yeah, I think I would call it. The only thing I was anticipating was Charlotte versus Becky, and then Roman versus Big E. So went there, which is crazy. If you went there, this is like one of the rare times we didn't see each other at the
Yeah, because we always see each other outside the Barclays Center.
Yeah.
Damn near same spot.
But after that day, I was toast because I had done Anime NYC the entire weekend.
Yeah.
So I was doing press for that. Didn't get COVID at that time, but get COVID now. Great. But I was doing that, so I was completely exhausted. So I was like, yo, just get me home after that. So I didn't go to that one. I didn't actually see him live. All the matches that I wanted to see him live, and I never actually got to do. When's the last time I seen the Miz live? Actually, fuck.
Because he wasn't back at that Survivor Series yet, right? Or was he?
Nah. He definitely wasn't. I mean, he was at a couple SummerSlams that I went to, but they weren't like major programs or anything. I probably have seen them at a Raw or something.
Yeah.
I feel like I have. I had to have.
You had like, you had to. Were you at the Raw 1000?
No, wasn't there. Wasn't at the anniversary when he went from there to I wasn't, because like you pay WWE prices in New York are ridiculous.
They really are. Yeah, they really are.
They're ridiculous. I probably at that time was still ashamed I paid what I paid for SummerSlam, because I paid a resale for SummerSlam, and I was just like, and it wasn't. I think I was still probably like, that was probably the Fatal 4-Way with Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, and Brock Lesnar, and that was awesome. But I also still feel like, yo, it didn't cost the amount I paid for.
Yeah,
the event was not worth that much.
That was Barclays, right?
Yes.
And that was that run at Barclays where like people were coming from out of town. So I've never gone to the SummerSlam because so many people were going out of town, and like I was like still a teenager then, and those prices were like 300.
It's a ridiculous
look. It's bad. It's crazy bad.
And just to be honest with you, the demographics there are completely different than like NXT TakeOver, which is the night before.
Yeah.
Like NXT TakeOver, because it's a little bit more of an affordable show, like everyone else can go. But by the time I go to SummerSlam, all I see is like, I'm happy for you kids, little white kids that are having this fun thing, but it's like nothing but white people going there, to be honest with you, because it's a lot harder to get these tickets and a lot harder to afford all these tickets as well. And I wouldn't put that on anyone who has like anything of substantial like rent or like having food for children or all this other stuff like that. Like it would be a great gift for Christmas, but I wouldn't go out my way to do this.
Yeah, those takeover tickets were like $40 still. Like, that's crazy, man. It's like
yeah.
So I asked you about that because that Survivor Series had Miz and R-Truth against Cena and The Rock.
Yeah.
You have a favorite Miz tag team partner?
Gosh, I'm gonna say John Morrison,
Okay.
but realistically, like his tag work isn't what I fell in love with him with.
Okay.
And in fact, I probably fell in love with him as soon as he dumped John Morrison. Originally back in the day.
Yeah.
Like I get them and they're best friends and all this stuff like that. But realistically, Sandow was cool and it is great for the moment and stuff like that. I wouldn't call him an elite because it was all working towards a program for this one particular thing. And then I forgot who else he teamed. Oh, Big Show, the Miz Show. Nah. Yeah, it's just nah. I'll probably say John Morrison if I had to pick one. Yeah.
You were a big dirt sheet guy back in the day, like 07, 08?
I watched it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if I wasn't as big of a fan as I am now of all the stuff that they do. But I definitely watched it all the time for sure.
I remember I was playing that Crime Time diss rap a lot. I don't know why. I was like, the Misfits and Mofo is kind of fire, man. I don't know that boy.
Oh my god, they tried so hard to actually like make shit. Like I appreciate them for that.
Do you have a favorite piece of Miz merchandise that you own?
I own no merchandise, believe it or not.
Of the Miz?
Most of his I don't shirts that say like awesome and chick magnet and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
Like it's not now if you design Miz merchandise, it might be a different story to be honest with you. But to be honest with you, the stuff that they sell, it's like I would not like why would I wear a shirt that says like awesome? Yeah. I'd wear it to the gym maybe.
I remember that around the time Punk like had that cool shirt, he had the "Hello, I'm Awesome" hoodie. And I was like, oh, I want this so bad. My mom and dad never bought anything like from the internet, so I took their card and bought it. And let me tell you, Miz, you owe me something because that ass whooping was astronomical, man. That shit was not worth it for that hoodie, bro. They were not happy.
There's so seldom WWE merchandise that I actually pick up. And it's not, I mean, most of it's because like, some of the stuff is tough.
Yeah.
I remember once a couple years ago, they had this Uso shirt that was really, really good. And they wore them for a long time, like in 2018 or something along those lines. They weren't for a long time. I thought that was tough. But yeah, the Miz shirts, they usually center around like, I'm awesome. Aren't I awesome? A-lister.
Or a big picture of them and stuff like that. It's like, I need something.
Yeah, and I was just like,
I need something good so I could wear it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything in your mind that you're like, oh, I hate that Miz shirt. Like I do not like this Miz shirt at all.
Chick magnet is the worst. The chick magnet is the I was like, you did it? Like, and he wore that forever.
Yeah, he did.
Because I'm pretty sure that was like his only merch that he had for a while. And it was just like
I think you could legit like be like show people that don't watch wrestling, like, is this a Miz shirt or is this a shirt from Target? And they would lose every time. Like that chick magnet shirt, I've seen a lot, and the "Hello, I'm Awesome." But that's insane.
I would not. Yeah, I don't know if I could walk around with a shirt that just said magnet and a chick on it, like a legitimately literal magnet and a small baby chicken on it. I couldn't walk around with that anywhere ever. Not even you couldn't get away with it in the gym or anything.
Oh man, everyone would think you're an asshole. Do you have a dream match for the Miz? Like anyone past and present?
I feel like his program with Bryan Danielson and Daniel Bryan is not over. And the last time they faced, he beat Daniel Bryan beat him in 4 seconds with a small package. So I was like, oh wow, that kind of sucked. But they just have like a phenomenal chemistry, and them being foils for one another in such an amazing way.
Yeah, it's such a good story. Like NXT coach, man, it's so good.
When you can just like put them side to side and you're like, I see why they would hate each other.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of and when you add, like you said, that whole story, the NXT thing and everything coming forward, it makes for such a great arc for their story, their careers, how everything lined up, all this other stuff like that. So I love that. I still want another match from them. The Miz and I mean, I feel like that Bryan Danielson thing is probably, I don't really have another dream opponent for him.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that, yeah.
If you could put the Miz like in any promotion or stable throughout time, is there any place that you'd put him at?
Mm. Um, put him with a stable. Let's see. I have one that I think is funny. It's just like random. Like, what if he was an aces and eights? What if he was just with those guys?
No, because like imagine like the Miz is trying to like get a role, and what was that show that show the Aces and Eights completely ripped off?
Yeah,
Sons of Anarchy. The Miz is just an ace and eight, so he can be in Sons of Anarchy, trying to learn biker life.
Fucking. What if he was in like in Main Event Mafia? Or
that would be fire.
I feel like him just like, yo, I belong here. Like one of those, like I'm a Kurt Angle and like and all this. Like, what if he just belonged? Shit. Other stables in history, man. That might be it, to be honest with you. I don't think I haven't none of the WWE stables pop in my mind of like, yo, what's something he wouldn't have went in that he probably wouldn't have taken over and done everything himself.
I mean, maybe if we put him in I feel like he might have fit in the Spirit Squad a little bit. I think he would have knocked it out the park, honestly.
He probably would have, but I would have felt sorry for him.
Yeah,
I would have felt sorry for him completely. I'd have been like, damn, this is ass.
If you could replace the Miz theme song with anything, what would you replace it with?
Shit, Hate Me Now.
Yeah.
Hate Me Now, man. Like,
so good.
First of all, I still get it. I love now that they introduced the little camera things at the beginning of his thing. Before it was just like awesome, and now they do the little Hollywood stuff, which I think is a nice touch. But I think Hate Me Now would just be like, he would have to give a middle finger to everybody at that point. The Hate Me Now and the Miz thing is just so iconic. Like, I can't think of anything else, to be honest with you.
Do you have a least favorite Miz match?
Yeah, he had a match at the pre-show at SummerSlam that I didn't even get to watch. And I was at that SummerSlam. So what had happened was Barclays does this thing which is different than MSG for whatever fucking reason, that they need your physical ticket. And I was just like, what? It's on my phone. Like, it's on my phone.
I remember this period. Like, I have it right here. Well, no, you got to go out and print it, and they have to look at the little print station. I don't think they do it anymore, but it was the dumbest shit.
It was the dumbest. So before I ever saw the little print guy, I was over in the Target across the street trying to get and then the print guy, it was like $5. I was like, this is some bullshit. But I printed it out and I got in, and I missed a lot of I think I missed Cena versus Corbin, and I showed up at Natty versus Naomi, which was terrible because Naomi lost. But I missed that entire Miz match, but he had a 6-man tag with the Miztourage versus I forget who else, but it was on the pre-show and no one was in the arena. No one was in the arena as of yet. They hadn't even started packing people in. It was like 6 something in the afternoon, or in the evening rather. It was like 6:30, 6 something. Like, people hadn't arrived yet, and I felt so bad for him because he's wrestling, and I was like, yo, no one's fucking there. So other than that, I mean,
you have a
Daniel Bryan match.
4 seconds, man. Do you have a favorite Miz movie?
No.
You're not a big fan of Jake Carter from The Marine?
No.
Come on, he's 3 movies deep, man. 4 movies deep at this point.
And the Santa Claus thing, I'll go with the Marine. I mean, he's the best Marine
Which
ever.
one? The Marine 3, Homefront, Moving Target, Battleground, Close Quarters,
I only saw the third one. I don't remember really. I blocked that part out of my memory. I'm like, yo, Johnny Cage, please save your career.
Please, for the love of God, put that man.
Don't let your IMDb just be this. You know what I'm saying?
If he is Johnny Cage, I feel like that's going to be like The Rock, and like that's going to be the moment that he might just start.
Yeah, he's out of here.
Yeah. And sometimes I like to end these off with a little bit of a little spiciness. So number 1, do you have a Miz hot take?
Yes. It is. Oh my God. Yo, the Miz is nothing like MJF. Please stop. Please stop the comparisons. he is nothing like him. Like they're not beyond them being in a different tax bracket just in general. Like the Miz flips houses, baby. Come on. MJF and the Miz are not alike at all. Even the way they approach pro wrestling and their promos and stuff like that are
completely different.
not similar. Yeah.
Very different.
Not at all. So the comparisons that are always happening, and it was like, oh, you're a second-rate Miz and stuff like that. I'm like, bro. All right, whatever.
Now this on the first episode, I asked Alex, Queen of the Ring, what is Bret Hart better at than Shawn Michaels? And I want to ask you, what is MJF better at than The Miz?
Oh my God. MJF is better at who, Lord?
You gotta say something. This is my favorite
MJF
question.
is better. MJF is better than fuck. I don't know. I mean, realistically, like the easy answer is like wrestling, but like it's in, you know, he got a different style in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
MJF is better at the Miz. I guess Burberry. Like, who still fucking does that? By the way,
it's not a baby shower, bro.
It's just... Yeah, nah. Like the Burberry thing. It's like, come on. That's like this. That being a sign of wealth ended like 15 years ago. Like, so he's better, I guess. I mean, I don't even say getting under people's skin. I mean, he does, but it's different. I don't know. This is tough.
MJF is better at rocking Burberry than Miz, you know, just because
he's better at rocking Burberries. For sure. Actually, I don't know. Let's let me Google this shit. If I Google Miz and Burberry and see him in a fly fit, this is gonna be a different discussion.
Oh damn, he do got a Burberry tie. Oh wait, hold on.
Burberry tie on.
Oh, that
come on. Listen.
Damn, man.
You know what? That's hilarious, bro. I will say the scarf is better than the tie.
Okay.
I'll say that. The scarf is better than the tie, in my opinion. He's working a Burberry tie right now, but I would not rock a Burberry tie.
Yeah.
The scarf is much better. It's a much better addition than the tie. So he's got that.
Man.
I'll give him that. He rocks a Burberry tie better than the Miz rocks he rocks a Burberry scarf better than Miz rocks a Burberry tie.
There you go. Thank you, Meelz, so much. Tell the people where they can find you and all the stuff that you do.
You can follow me at MeelzTV. You can follow the A Show at the A Show RNC. You can follow RNC Radio Live. You can follow, if you love anime, you can follow the Lookout RNC. To have a lot of podcasts on anime and manga and stuff like that. And yeah, just follow me there, man. I tweet about wrestling. I try not to make it as serious as other people make it because it's serious to me, but it's like not. Like there are things that affect me, obviously, that I will want to tweet about, but realistically, like I'm cutting everybody's ass. So it is, it is. Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.